So my name is Charlotte Bonner. I have the pleasure and privilege of being CEO at the EAUC, with the Environmental Association for Universities and Colleges. So I think the FE and training sector, the FE and skills sector, has a humongous role to play in helping society address some of our biggest challenges, whether they're social challenges or environmental challenges. And we already do a great job of this. We equip learners for their lives, whether that's their personal lives or their professional ones. We help communities thrive. We act as responsible organisations in terms of how we operate our estates and operations, how we provide facilities and spaces to the people around us. But that's not completely universal. And there's a lot of ways at the moment that we're kind of working as business as usual, or education as usual, that isn't really maximising the potential that we have to really contribute positively to the world we see around us. And so I think a green mindset is really important, because what it will help us do is raise the bar so that we're not seeing pockets of great practice, but we're seeing the whole sector really embracing its role at equipping lives for their futures, at working within planetary boundaries, really helping communities thrive, whether it's local communities, but obviously playing our role in the global society too. So I think a mindset is really important. The mindset that we're talking about today is really important, because it will help us take the sustainability work that the sector's done from piecemeal to mainstream. So I think the small changes we can make, there's a bit of a debate, isn't there? Like, should we all be making small changes which collectively equate to something that's greater than the sum of its parts? Or should we be really focusing on the highest impact things? And sometimes it's a mix of the two, right? And so I think to answer the question, really you have to think about, what's my role in the sector? Where can I make the biggest impact? And if you're a teacher or an educator, that will be through your teaching and learning practice. If you're a leader, that'll be about how you set a visibility, a culture of engagement with sustainability. If you work for a policy-making organisation or an awarding organisation, your role will be different. So I think it depends on what you do on a day-to-day basis. What's your business as usual? And therefore, what's the impact that you can have? Rather than me saying, well, everybody should go and recycle their plastic bottles, which at the end of the day isn't going to help us achieve as an education sector the full potential of what we've got. So I think really the question that we should be asking ourselves is not what small changes should we be making, but what small changes should I be making in my role, so that we can progress this agenda at a much quicker pace than we have done historically. So as well as that policy consistency, I think some of the other things we need are around our funding mechanisms. We often are encouraged, incentivised to work in short-term cycles, annual funding cycles that go March to March, where actually we need longer-term funding cycles that enable us to invest in good, sustainable impact. I think investing in things that we know work, rather than just new shiny things, would also be really helpful. And there's evidence of that happening across the sector too. I'm generalising a lot here, but that would really help. Elongating that funding cycle would really help. And I think fundamentally what I think we're aiming for, is to make sure that all learners leave their education with good knowledge, good skills, good behaviours around sustainability. And to get that, we need great educators who are given the time and space to build sustainability meaningfully into their courses. And at the moment, we don't have kind of a really strong, universal way of equipping our educators to do that. We're reliant on individual enthusiasm. We're reliant on individual passion. And actually, we need decent access to some good CPD that gives people the time to reflect, what does this mean for me? How can I make sure that through my teaching and learning, I'm doing my bit? So the other thing I'd ask for that's very much at a national level, kind of that macro level, is a good lifelong CPD entitlement to educators. And it's a difficult ask, because already we're asking them to be experts in pedagogy, experts in their subject specialism. We can't ask them to be experts in sustainability as well, as a field, but we really do need to make sure that educators know how their subject specialism contributes to the challenges we face and the solutions to those challenges, so that they can help their learners navigate that in their career path too. So I think this is fundamentally, it's about how do we equip our leaders and our educators to do their jobs really well. And I think there's already a huge amount of great practice across the sector. We already know that people that work in FE and skills do so because they believe in social change. They believe in prosperity for communities. They believe in equipping learners to have a great education so they can go on to have good lives. And so I think sustainability, that green mindset, is already innate within FE. It's just not always explicit. So building that explicit culture of, well, what does this mean for the planet? What does this mean for people? And building that into our leadership programs, building it into our CPD programs, building it into the framework, making it business as usual rather than making it dependent on one or two passionate people. That's how we're going to make real progress across the sector, I think.